Hi RamG's, nice to have you here. Welcome to DadSense.
My pleasure.
Your story is, of course, as our audience will realize, is that of an incredibly inspiring journey that you've had.
The first time I am talking to dads directly.
How did you land on happiness? Because it's all every second parent is wanting to know how do they get their kids to the IIT, right?
Happy people are far more successful at work than unhappy people.
You were cruising at the highest level of your corporate career, and then a massive life event happened.
The autoimmune condition really started. I didn't know it was an autoimmune condition at that time. It took about 7 years for it to be diagnosed. In those 7 years, I kept losing strength in both my fingers, then my hands, my arms, my legs, and used to keep tripping and falling every once in a while. So my wife and I traveled to Chicago, stayed there for 3 months, went through the treatment. It rebooted my body completely. I became a lot better actually after that. While this 3 months was going on, I picked up my original passion, which is writing. I asked them what kind of parenting they received when they were kids. I created a framework called active parenting. I call it S.H.A.R.P, socially conscious, happy, authentic, resilient, purpose-driven. And there are some 13 qualities which I focus on and how parents can build it. The most important funda to remember is that the more you hug your child, the more emotionally strong they become as they grow up. Social media combined with smartphones have definitely made children a lot more anxious. Of course, in reality is that you cannot completely keep them away. But at least till the age of 5 or something, don't get them to even look at the screen. Tell them stories. Do activities with them. Take them out for a jog or a trek or just a walk in the garden. Whatever, right? I mean, so spend time on other activities. Life is not very easy, but life is amazing.
Your disposition betrays, all the experiences that you must be encountering.
In fact, I would like to turn it around. I think that has actually built that in me. Those experiences have made me much, much better at wanting to help people who are going through difficulties. And that, wanting to do that purpose has made me a happy person. There are so many fathers who are sort of switched off from parenting. Generally, there is a belief that mothers hold a bigger responsibility, which is not the case anymore. It is the father's responsibility to, first of all, showcase fairness in a marriage by taking on as much of every aspect of a household as the mother does.
Hi RamG's, nice to have you here. Welcome to DadSense.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining. In fact, we got connected through our common friend Arun, and it is wonderful to get to know you, your story, which I'm looking forward to sharing with our audience. But your story is, of course, as our audience will realize, is that of an incredibly inspiring journey that you've had, and can't wait to unfold that through this conversation.
Thank you so much. I am also looking forward to this actually. In fact, this is possibly the first time I am talking to dads directly. I've delivered, literally dozens and more than maybe 50 parenting workshops. But the first time it's one directly to fathers. That'll be interesting.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. And I got curious about your work, and I think that's why Arun introduced us, because he knows that I do this podcast, and you and I talked about the role of fathers in parenting. We're approaching it from different angles, but I think we are sort of circling around the same idea, which is how do parents handle parenting in today's generation with so much change, and particularly my angle is fathers and fatherhood.
Yeah.
But we'll start with your story, right? Let's cut to the age of 34. I want to take our audience there. You were at the peak of your corporate career, having come from absolutely prestigious academic background from IIT and XLRI. You were cruising at the highest level of your corporate career, and then a massive life event happened. Can you take us there, and then we'll go from there?
Yeah. So you are absolutely right. 34 was when I thought was the real peak of my career. And out of college at 24, out of XLRI at 24, 10 years I had managed to become Chief Operating Officer in Airtel.
Right.
So that's like possibly the fastest rise for somebody like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had very ambitious dreams. I wanted to become the global CEO of a Fortune 500 company. That is by the age of 45.
Right.
So I was a man persist, very driven.
Right.
And that's when I started noticing a tremor in my fingers every time I tried to pick up a spoon or a fork or a pen, and slight loss of balance. Uh, that's when the autoimmune condition really started. I didn't know it was an autoimmune condition at that time. It took about 7 years for it to be diagnosed. In those 7 years, I kept losing strength in both my fingers, then my hands, my arms, my legs, and used to keep tripping and falling every once in a while. Couldn't hold things properly in my hand.
So that sort of transpired in what period of time
It's
this
a
all?
very gradual downward spiral. By the age of 41, I knew that there was something drastically wrong with me. I met 2 or 3 doctors. The first two gave, three of them gave me misdiagnosis actually. In fact, that is what actually then kept me from pursuing it further, because I thought this is a condition. I had no other recourse, because it's supposed to be a genetic problem. But then I had a viral fever at 41, and that spiraled down into a complete paralysis.
Oh my God.
So within 3 days, I was absolutely flat. I couldn't lift my hands or my legs, even 1 centimeter, and I was rushed to the hospital. And that's when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. I was put in through all kinds of medication. In fact, the medication for that is an extremely expensive one. It was 5 days, 36 bottles, 6 lakh rupees.
Wow.
And then the body started mending. It started getting far better. Within the next 2 weeks, I was doing things which I had not been able to do for 7 years before that. I could play football with my children.
So that's because of the diagnosis and the medication, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and I could actually run up 9 floors to my office. I could make pizza for my kids. And I was like, back in action now.
Right.
Again, go back to
Full throttle.
full throttle.
Right.
And then the condition came back in 45 days. Again hospitalized, similar condition. And that's when the doctor said, this is not a permanent cure. You have to keep taking this medication. I couldn't afford 6 lakh rupees every 45 days.
Yeah.
So I had to have steroids, and steroids have a lot of other side effects,
yes.
right? So it was a very, 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 very tough time. At the same time, I was director of operations for HP.
And all along, you kept on working from this 34 to 41?
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
And high profile,
Sure.
high intensity jobs.
Right.
Director of operations in Dell, director of operations in HP, so...
And you were a dad too at the time, right?
I was dad of 2 wonderful children. One was, when I was 41, my daughter would have been approximately 12 or 13.
Right.
My son was about 3 years younger. So, it is
they were
a crucial...
young children, very crucial
age
time
for
of
them, right?
parenting, yeah.
So they've actually sort of, from the time they were 6, 7, they had started seeing this gradual decline in my body and spiraling down in my strengths.
Right. How did, we'll get to the next stage and how it changed your life, but just staying in this space of that 34 when you discovered that there's little symptoms which slowly was degenerating, right? How did that impact your parenting? Like, how was the conversation? What was the conversation at home like? Were there things that was very obvious for you that you couldn't do anymore, or it was still very, very...
Oh yeah, I think it was an incident which made me realize just how bad it was. So I had got transferred I had joined Dell as a director, and we all were there, and we were in my sister-in-law's place, and we sat down to play caroms. And everybody was like hitting the striker nicely with their fingers.
Right.
And I just couldn't get enough strength on my fingers. So the striker, I would just about hit the striker, but it would just go 3-4 millimeters. And for the life of me, I just couldn't make it. I had 2 options. One is to look, completely taken aback, because that's what I was feeling.
Yeah.
But then I knew that the one thing that I have to always do as a father is to model the right behavior to my children, right? So what I did was I made a bit of a joke about the whole thing, and I started using my thumb to move the striker in a very funny way, and my kids started laughing, saying, "Haha, look at him cheating," and things like that. So I embraced my cheating and played the game. But that night I couldn't sleep because I knew that this thing had become really, really noticeable, and I have to find a solution, right? So the thing is, what I tried to do with the children, I never kept it from them that I had a problem, right? They knew that I was meeting multiple doctors, Ayurveda, allopathy, all kinds of stuff. I would talk to them about it.
That daddy is feeling something.
Yeah, that I have a problem.
Changing,
and they could make it out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, suddenly, I couldn't run with them, or I couldn't do various things. I could trip and fall and things like that. But I knew that I had to always project that life is positive, life is great, you need to make the best of it, and that's what I did. So always look at the absurd situation and laugh about it, make the kids look at things in a nice, positive fashion rather than feeling weighed down by problems. So role modeling was a very important thing for me.
And you have you been always like that since your own childhood, about embracing obstacles and difficult situations?
I learned it from my father. He was...
there's always a thread, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
Right.
So he was one of the most cheerful, positive and energetic persons I have seen in my life. He's gone through some incredible ups and lows in his career because he was an extremely honest government officer. There were instances where he was shunted to the side because he refused to do certain things, right? And he was put into roles which generally were supposed to be punishment roles. Now I've seen him convert those roles into the most positive and vibrant roles, right?
Wow. That's
So that was inbuilt into me,
right?
And that's what also made me realize that the way parents role model is what's going to make the children grow up to be that, and you need to role model whatever you want them to become every step of the way.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons I got curious about your own resilience, and we'll talk about that, because invariably there is some influence, right? Either from, mostly from parents, but somebody like a father figure and so forth.
So my resilience as a kid, slightly young adult, got tested when I was in IIT. I had gotten to IIT with a terrific JEE rank, 129 out of some 3 lakh people who wrote JEE that year. I was the talk of the town, and very...
Which town was this?
I was in one Idukki district in Kerala, one of the most backward districts in Kerala, right? And the government school, Malayalam medium, sat on the floor for multiple years in my schooling. And from there managed to get this. So
your story is one of those classic poster child
story.
Yeah.
So and I was on top of the world. Everybody was talking about me, my family, my friends. Very unique kind of an achievement. And in IIT, I realized that I was only an average student, right? And rather than sort of embrace my averageness, I wanted to be best in something. And I realized the best I can be is to become the dada of the class. So I started bunking classes. I used to, all kinds of habits.
Sure.
And my grades slipped, and then I was nearly thrown out of IIT because I didn't have enough credits to graduate.
I have a similar common story, by the way. Not in IIT, but how I got derailed. But I'll let you continue.
But then, so the way I recovered was I spoke to my parents. I told them everything. And they actually, without judging me, they came and stayed in the guest house in IIT for some time and encouraged me and helped me clear my backlog, etc. And then I graduated in 5 years instead of 4. So,
that's amazing.
So there's always a parenting component to resilience.
There's a story, I mean, what they did at the time made a huge difference, right? It could have gone either way.
Absolutely.
If you had been
100%,
cast all kinds of aspersions
Yeah.
and minimizations, then it would have had a different impact on you.
And I would have doubled down on my stupidity.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Because the rebellion would have only
Yeah.
increased. Fascinating. Now, coming back, we'll just keep kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Now you're 41. This has come back twice now, right? That's when it dawns upon you that you cannot continue like this, right? With this medication, and what do you do next?
So I was on the health side. I was always seeking for solutions.
Yeah.
And when I figured out that this is actually a curable condition, then I started looking for all kinds of different solutions.
Sure.
And I found finally a solution in the US where there was a clinical trial going on for people with autoimmune conditions.
Yeah.
And the doctor said there's a 2% probability of death if you go through the treatment. But that is a chance I was willing to take. So my wife and I traveled to Chicago, stayed there for 3 months, went through the treatment. It rebooted my body completely. So it involves killing your entire immune system using chemo and a couple of other very toxic substances.
Yeah.
But before that, they remove what is called stem cells from the bloodstream. Stem cells are cells which will create a new immune system.
Sure.
So kept it aside, killed the immune system, injected it back. New immune system came up, rebooted the body, and I became a lot better actually after that.
Right.
So,
But you, at the time, you did take a decision about how you were going to pursue your life,
yeah.
right? From
Yeah.
then on.
Yeah.
What was that?
So the big decision was that, well, I mean, I must say that it was made so much easier because my wife was working, right? And she had a fantastic corporate job. And she was the one who was sort of carrying the whole burden.
Holding it all
right?
together,
Yeah.
right?
So children earning bread for the family, taking care of me. Her father used to stay with us, and he was also quite helpful actually. And
So did you leave your job while you were going through
yeah,
this?
I left my
Okay,
job.
gotcha.
Yeah. That's a different story. I was sacked from my job. So
Got it.
So at the height of my illness, I was also sacked. So
Yeah, that's a whole
it
other
was like
conversation.
everything that could
It
go
was a
wrong
perfect
had-
storm.
perfect to the ultimate storm. Yeah.
Right.
So then I went to the US and finished this, and I had taken a decision. I'm not going to come back into corporate life. I needed to figure out how to leverage my strength, and I had tremendous amount of strengths, and I knew that. It's just that I need to regroup, figure out what is the next direction, and hit off in that direction. But what actually happened was that while this 3 months was going on, I picked up my original passion, which is writing.
Right.
So when I was a kid, I used to write short stories
Got it.
and even poems and all. Okay?
In which language?
Malayalam.
Got it.
Yeah. So I wanted to write, and only problem was that I couldn't type because my fingers were completely useless. So I managed to get a voice-to-text software, and I started writing my first book as soon as I got discharged from the hospital. In fact, I started from the hospital bed, got discharged, came to India, and the next 3 months was focused on rebuilding my muscles. And while I was rebuilding my muscles, I was also writing my first book. And I keep telling people, all that chemo and rat and rabbit extract which they put into my body, they all were like a nice peg of old monk ram.
Right.
So, as in on,
Sparked your
on top of the world.
Right.
I was like floating in happiness. And I wrote a book which is completely wacky, a totally crazy, absurd book. It's called a science fiction,
So
but
abstract, right?
it's sort of supposed to be a science fiction, but it's a completely, highly imaginative, absurd fiction.
For children.
Well, it is. I keep saying it's for a very narrow age group of 9 to 99. Anybody can find humor in this.
It's like the Lego toys, right?
Absolutely. So this is like, anybody can find sense of humor in this. The humor for all age groups.
Yeah.
But kids found it epic. So they would actually, I know that.
So you got published with that book.
It got published, yeah. So, that is another story, of course. I had to send it to, like J.K. Rowling, who got rejected 13 times. I got rejected only 7 times, so I'm better than her. But the book got published and it became a bestseller.
What's the name of the book?
It's called Oops the Mighty Gurgle. Gurgle is an evolved form of pumpkin from millions of years into the future. And they can walk around running slur. And Oops is one of those gurgles who has come back to save humanity from destruction. Wow. Because we are under attack from a planet of green pigs. They are unhappy with human beings because we play Angry Birds and kill green pigs.
Right.
So that's the story. So.
Fascinating. It definitely is begging to be made into a movie.
I'm hoping somebody would.
I worked at Disney, so maybe I can pull some contacts and support you.
Absolutely, that'll be great. 2% for you.
Okay, I'm in. It's cool. So that's so you just came back and kind of finished the book.
I finished the book, and so it was the most incredible thing, So on one side, I had this. Every muscle in my body had to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
So I had a very, very tight regimen to build back my muscles. So 27 exercises. Every day I had a target for each number of reps for each exercise. Every week the target would go up. And I had this Excel sheet in which I had put for the next 180 days, what are the numbers I'm going to do? Yeah. And every single day, I beat every single target. And that was giving me such a high, right? I mean, dopamine burst into the brain and feeling fantastic. So that was then getting channelized, that happiness was getting channelized into Oops. Yeah. So the book and this went parallelly. By the end of 6 months, I had found
a nice virtuous loop, as we say, right?
Absolutely.
One feeds the other. Yeah.
I found a publisher. My body was much better. I could actually walk on my own. I was walking 5 kilometers at a stretch. So life turned around.
That's incredible. And that took you on this path of writing, and of course we'll get to the inspiration that finally led you to, which is one of the things that I want to focus on, to write a parenting book, right? Just take us through that journey of writing, and then how you started connecting with children and ended up writing a parenting book, which is, I believe, is the number one parenting book in India now.
Absolutely. India's number one parenting book. There may be foreign authors who have written pretty large books, but as an Indian author, it is the number one selling book in the country. And it's a long journey. So started with the Oops the Mighty Gurgle as the first book, and I then started being invited for talks. When you're an author, people think you're generally an intellectual.
Something to say, right.
So I started going to schools to deliver talks, and kids would love it, because I would talk about this mighty gurgle and squeaking, and I would teach them an alien language, and which is mostly grunts and squeaks, and I would squeak along with them, make the teachers squeak along with them. So the kids were very happy. And then there's characters like, there's a planet called the Holy Butt, where there's a...
This was in English though, right?
It's completely in English, There's a species called cerebums, and you can imagine where the brain is, in front of the right brain on the right bum and left brain on the left butt. Right. So kids love those kind of stuff, right? Completely absurd. And what I would do is I would do all this, and the last 10 minutes I would tell them about how to be resilient in life, So
did the story have that thread as well of resilience?
The story was, it did not have any moral these things, etc. It was
just a pure fun story. I got you. Okay, but you'll start talking about resilience.
But when I do this, right? I mean, when I take them through this journey and they feel really charged up and very happy and all, that's the best time to actually just tell the story behind the story of how I wrote the book and how I never let myself down, and I just kept focusing on the positive, right?
Yeah, you took an obstacle
and converted that into something really
a
positive.
whole different experience,
And that, when they are in that mood, and I'm not talking down to them, but I've been squeaking with them till 10 minutes back, and then I'm telling them my story without any, without...
Any preaching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the story goes in deep, So I knew that I was planting the seeds in their young brains, and I was very happy with that.
So, you're talking about while in the middle of, while you're finishing the story, you started leaving them with some thoughts, some food for thoughts.
So while I realized that I was planting these seeds into their brain for about being positive, resilient, happy in life, the 45 minutes, the interaction I have with them may not leave a lasting impact on many of them.
Sure.
On some of them, yes, it's finally a normal curve, right? There'll be some people who will be incredibly moved. Everybody will be engaged, which is, I was getting 100% strike rate there. But some of them will just, forget this at the end of the session, right? Now, how do I change their lives for good? How do I make a dent in the world? How do I ensure that the next generation in the world is more positive than the current generation? Right?
So your focus was on positivity and resilience. Particularly,
Completely,
you were very, very particular about that, in building that into children, right?
Yeah. Positivity, resilience, happiness, purposefulness. So I'll just come to that. Huh?
Yes.
So what I decided to do was that I need to reach out to parents. Now, for a general guy like me to reach out to parents, I need to have credibility first. So I need to build the credibility. And an event happened which changed my life again to do with my father. So my father has had a valve replacement in his heart when he was 62 or so. And when he reached 65, that valve started giving trouble. So he was hospitalized again. We realized that there's an infection in the valve which has been replaced. And that means intense amount of antibiotics and things like that didn't work. He was in ICU. There was a new surgery which had to happen. Surgery happened and he was not recovering properly. So all I had was 5 minutes a day. I would go and stand with him. And my entire aim was to make him feel that there is a purpose in life. That he had to live for that purpose. So I would talk to him about, things that we can do together. And then I told him, one day I told him, Dad, Malayali, so I say, Achan, remember all the things that you've done for me to make me be so positive in life. I think I want to write a book for parents to make them realize what are the things that they can do to make their children very positive. And I want to do it along with you. Both of us will write it together. And that was a very touching moment because he was on a ventilator and he couldn't speak, etc. But I said that and I could hear his heartbeat suddenly went up, in the monitor you could see.
You could literally see that.
It's there, right? Yeah. And I knew that it had impacted deeply. And he lifted his hand and put it on my head, right?
He almost kind of blessed and endorsed
Yeah,
that.
completely. He didn't survive. Huh? So in the next 1 week or so, he passed away.
Sorry to hear.
But then I realized that this is the mission, I want to do. And while I'm writing this, I'm writing along with him in my mind.
Now it's your responsibility to get that out, right?
Yeah.
Because of what happened.
Exactly.
You felt that that mission in you.
It was absolutely. It was a mission. I was driven by that and completely, driven by the thought of my father and his message passing down to a larger audience. Of course, tailor-made for the current generation, right? Yeah. Because my generation to the current generation itself, there's such a huge change. So I actually went about studying parenting for 5 years actually. I interviewed so many parents. I enrolled in a diploma for child psychology. And I understood a lot of different aspects of parenting and about child psychology, etc. And with the experiences of parents I have interviewed, people I have seen who are successful, and I interviewed a lot of people who have become very successful in life. Sure. I asked them what kind of parenting they received when they were kids. And with this entire thing, I created a framework called active parenting.
Got it.
And so the framework is simple. The purpose is to raise children who are happy, authentic, resilient, purpose-driven, and finally, socially conscious. Yeah. So people who are very good at managing themselves, their emotions and their ability to look at everything in a positive way, their ability to bounce back. At the same time, people who are happy and spreading happiness around them, and also taking on the responsibility for making the world a better place, socially conscious. Yeah. So that is more, I call it S.H.A.R.P, socially conscious, happy, authentic, resilient, purpose-driven. And there are some 13 qualities which I focus on and how parents can build it, starting from infancy all the way to teenage years, step by step things that they can do to make their children more sharp.
More sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I can, I'm getting so energized by that mission itself, your mission, and I'm visualizing that. That's really beautiful. I'm just curious to have a couple of follow-up questions. Of course, I have millions of questions. One is, as I was thinking about your own, that moment with your dad, it's such a powerful moment, right? When he puts his hand on your head, and how you could have felt that as this mission that he left you with, that son, you fulfill that mission. But I'm curious to know about, one is that event, but the other one is your certainty of your thought process that this needs to be done, right? And a lot of times, and we'll focus on S.H.A.R.P a little bit after this, but a lot of times creators or folks who are mission driven have different forces acting upon them. While they feel the force of the mission, there are some external forces. First of all, is this a need, right? How do I know that what I'm thinking about is needed? It's relevant, right? You get what I'm saying? You've been a marketer.
I get it completely, yeah.
So my question is, did you get those questions, or you were very sure that this needs to be done? You did not get cluttered by any noise, and you're very calm and sure about this?
There was no clutter in my mind. There was clutter by way of a smartphone, because one is addicted to the damn social media,
Right.
And as an existing author, I had already written 2 books. One is Oops, a Mighty Eagle. Then the other one was my life story, by the way, From Ouch to Oops, which is also a bestseller and it's done very well. And that's about a humorous look at my life story with all the ups and downs and things like that. So I also had to keep promoting it. So I'm in on social media most of the time.
Right.
And obviously, when you're on social media, then you also look at other things. You're surfing around, and so that is the one thing which really sort of distracted me maximum. But I was driven by the purpose. And but you are absolutely right. Would I have written this book if I had pursued my corporate career? I don't think so. Right? It is. It is. Every blessing that I have had in my life, including the paralysis and the illness, which has actually made me what I am. And that has given me purpose in life. And that purpose it's ironclad, it's so strong. It is absolutely there. So I was driven. And I guess as a person, I've been brought up to be purpose driven. And again, that's one of the things parents can do for children. So yes, I was very clear I had to do it. It just said how long it would take and what are the steps I had to take. I drew a first draft at the end of 1 year, and then I realized, my God, this is not what I want to write. I need to be the guide for people who look up for parenting advice. And I have to invest a lot more in terms of upskilling myself first and then doing that. And then I took the support of some child counselors. I took the support of child psychologists, all kinds of things to upskill myself so that I can write a book which is today the best-selling parenting book in the country. So.
Got it. That's fascinating. So let's double down on S.H.A.R.P, right?
Yeah.
First of all, I think there is obviously this idea of creating happiness, right? In a society, in an ultra competitive parenting, that's the most competitive sport in today's India, particularly. How did that, and you being a product of that, not the competition, but having gone to the best of the best, IIT and XLRI, how did you land on happiness? Because it's every second parent is wanting to know how do they get their kids to the IIT, right?
So what happens? So what happens when you're gone through life as much as I have, which is an advantage I had, honestly, at a very early age. You realize 2 things. Number one is that what is the purpose of life? Ultimately, whatever we do is so that we can be happy in life. Whether you are chasing a corporate career, is hoping that the next promotion will get you more happiness. the more power you have, the more happiness you will be.
Yeah.
The more people you can influence, the happier you will be. The more money you make, the more things you can do with it, the happier you will be. So you're actually missing out, most people are missing out the ultimate goal, which is actually happiness.
Right.
That is on one side.
Sure.
Number two is that the path to being successful in life is also to be happy, by the way.
Sure.
Happiness is an input, it's not an output.
Right.
Happy people are far more successful at work than unhappy people.
Yeah.
You are positive, you are charged up, you pass on that positivity to everybody around you, they will support you more at work, you will become more successful at work. These are known facts.
Recently, I read an article in Harvard Business Review itself, the success, happiness fallacy, that, which precedes
an
the
output, it's
which
an
precedes the
input.
other. Yeah. We usually put success first and then
Exactly.
think that happiness will be an output of it, but it's the opposite.
So what I'm doing is two things. Number one is that I'm helping people focus on the ultimate goal. Number two is that ultimate goal also happens to be what will give you the interim success, right? So that was one of the reasons happiness was there. Resilience was, of course, no-brainer, because the one thing that we need to do for our children today is that in a VUCA world, right?
Yeah.
There is absolutely no idea. We have no idea what kind of work they are going to be doing, what kind of skills you need to build into them. You have absolutely no idea. If you think you know, you're an idiot, actually. Right? All you can do is give them this, what are generally called the soft skills, but which are, in my opinion, called the power skills,
Absolutely.
to be able to handle anything that is thrown at them in life. Which means make them self-disciplined, resilient, and having a sense of purpose and happy in life. And authenticity, I put there as a top-level menu item, but authenticity is actually also an input to happiness.
Sure. Yeah.
The more transparent you are, the more
In
honest
tune you are with yourself.
Exactly.
The more you will
and the happier you are.
be centered. Yeah. So, got it, understood. So, how did you approach? Let's break down S.H.A.R.P. In a quick way, so that our audience can take away some of the in today's world of social media and so forth. If there's any way we can share, how do you break down S.H.A.R.P. and what are you leaving the children with?
So, S.H.A.R.P. is the top level 5 attributes that kids should have to become happy human beings and being successful in life. But there are about 13 qualities which build each of these attributes. They are things like very simple things: self-discipline, compassion, kindness, compassion, gratitude, then ownership. So there are 13 such qualities which I listed out. And those qualities are very granular and hence buildable by parents. If they go through certain things, and there are 5 strategies which I have outlined. Now these strategies are, the first and foremost is role modeling. At the end of the day, children look up to parents to see what they're doing. If you are giving gyan and not following it yourself, there is no way they are going to, first of all, obey you. Number 2 is they will think you are a hollow person, right?
Absolutely.
So there has to be absolute alignment between what you say and what you do. So that is number 1. Number 2 is, which I think is a very important thing, is befriending children. A lot of parents say, no, you need to keep a distance and things like that.
Yeah. Not my child's friend.
Yeah, I'm not my child's friend. I think that's that's a wrong way to do it. Look at things.
Yeah. And it is also not an absolute statement, right? It cannot make
exactly. There's a gradation, right? And depending on the circumstance, you have to play.
Yeah, you have to play different roles, wear different hats.
Yeah. But the fact is, if you want to really influence them, and as they grow older into the teenage years, etc., that influence becomes so many other influences in their lives. How do you get your voice in with all the noise going around, right? And to do that, you need to have a very strong relationship with your children. And relationship can be built only by equals, not by talking down, right? And that is the fundamental reason why I
It
said
can be built by
befriending is
connection,
important.
right?
Exactly.
Not by
Yeah.
enforcement.
Exactly. Yeah. So you need to be in their world. You need to understand their world. You need to appreciate what they're doing. You need to appreciate that the generation is different. Their drivers are different. And you cannot be judging them for being different. You need to understand the difference and you need to be part of that. And at the
That
same
will make
time,
you uncomfortable, actually, right?
It does. Yeah, exactly.
That difference
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
us uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
What we do is we go back to our comfort zone and start imposing
Our
what is
comfort zone
comfort
on them.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And that is a thing to avoid completely. So befriending is a critical thing. But then you can't be too much of befriending. You need to have your boundaries very clearly. At the end of the day, you are a parent.
Right.
So befriending and drawing boundaries. That's the third strategy. The fourth one is storytelling. Storytelling, I think, is a very, very critical part
Powerful
of it.
tool, yeah, for sure.
And as I said earlier, the thing is, when you are telling a story, what you're doing is you're bringing their guard down, right? It's a very low friction way of giving an education to them or an input to them. What you're doing is you're bringing their guard down. You tell a story, and you leave it at that. Don't get into then. This is the moral of the story. You should understand this and all. That fanta mat de do, huh? Just tell them the story. They are intelligent enough to pick it up. They know what is the moral of the story. It goes in much deeper if you don't point it out.
I can't tell you, the reason I'm laughing is I do end up making that mistake. And my 10-year-old is like, yeah, Daddy, I get it. You don't need to say that. This is the moral of it. And now that's become a joke now. Oh, here comes the moral of the story. So that's why I was cracking up.
Yeah, so I would strongly urge all parents to resist from the urge to give them.
Right. No, spot on.
So that's one. And the last but equally important one is that spend on experiences, invest on experiences, not on things, right? The more experiences you share with them, the deeper the connection, the more opportunities you have to actually help them. And so these 5 strategies, if you employ, right, you are through. I mean, you can build these 13 qualities which will lead to the 5 attributes which will make the person successful in life. That's my theory.
Thank you. It's really, really powerful and totally resonates with me. I was only thinking in this world of, parents, which obviously is a unit of 2 for most part.
Yeah.
There are obviously single parents and so forth. But, my pursuit has been to get dads more involved, more engaged, right? We talked about that.
Yeah.
So in your work of this, through the book, through teaching children, through, in some sense, interacting with parents, what are some of the things that you think dads can do more in this framework of S.H.A.R.P and building some of these qualities?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not gender related,
Yeah,
but knowing our culture, knowing our society in this country,
yeah.
I would love to get your thoughts.
And I think the one thing that you're doing is amazing because I have interacted with so many parents, and there are so many fathers who are sort of switched off from parenting. They really sort of think it's a mother's duty to bring up children, which is an absolute nonsense. Because
You see that in your...
I have seen it's not like everybody is like
Of course,
that,
yeah.
but there is a percentage of people who are like that, right? And it sort of, again, varies from, there is a gradation. But generally, there is a belief that mothers hold a bigger responsibility, which is not the case anymore, right? I mean, today, what the father used to do traditionally, almost all mothers are doing. And on top of that, they're also doing a lot of things which traditional mothers were doing anyway. So it is the father's responsibility to, first of all, showcase this fairness in a marriage by taking on as much of every aspect of a household as the mother does. And they have to be the yin and yang. Some places one would be strong, the other, then you have to be the complement to that, and you have to be strong in other areas, right? But between the two of you, you need to cover the entire 360 degrees. That's the way it should work. So so forget the traditional part, but there are certain aspects where I think a father can come in very strongly. Number one is because of the traditional roles played, and also because the mother is the one who gives birth and spend more time with the baby in the early years, etc. And because of the way women are wired, because of for the long-term sustainability of the species, they take a lot of ownership. They're very, very responsible.
It's very, very organic to them.
It's exactly very organic to them.
Yeah.
And what the father should understand is that they should encourage that in terms of, making fun of it. Number two is when they do that role, they come very close to the children all the time, right? They are there constantly. So there are certain things which a father can then bring in with a slightly more broader perspective or from a slightly different distance.
Sure.
And that only if then somebody who's
So
at
what,
that
what,
distance
what
can
would
bring
that
in.
be, for example?
Yeah, for example, if there is an issue on which there is there are raised emotions in the household between mother and child, which happens very regularly, right? And that's fine, right? That's the time when a father can actually help point out to the child what the mother was trying to say in a more calm and measured fashion. Or maybe after the fact is over.
Yeah, after the event.
Right, after the event, when you everybody is cooling down a bit. I think that's a very important aspect. At every point in time, but you should know that you are a partner with the mother.
You are on the same team.
You are on the same team, right? I know that there are fathers who sort of try to play the good cop when the mother is projected as the bad cop, and that's completely a no-no, right? You should tell the person why the mother was actually behaving in a particular way and point out what is the reason why that was happening, and a more rational maybe way to actually ensure that.
It's funny, not funny, but it's fascinating to talk about that because it's been an evolving journey for my own self.
Yeah.
And I have been guilty of doing that to my children, right? And obviously the intent was not to put my wife down.
Yeah.
But if I see something in a different angle, different perspective, or something I think that is the right way, I was guilty of jumping in at the moment and offering that perspective, which invariably compromises that one team premise, right?
Yeah.
And I was doing it because my framework was that we are a transparent,
open and
communicator team. So if we have a difference of opinion, we should surface it, which was fine. But I think the bigger price of that is that your children are looking at you and saying, okay, now mommy is wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, or I can, get my way
Or
through
I
my
can
father
just
or
kind
whatever.
of,
right?
So that
Play them against
realization
each
happened
other,
to me
those kind
over a period of time, I must say. And now I'm learning to hold
I
myself
think it
back.
happens to all of us. So, I mean, it's
It's a brilliant point.
only over time that you grow up to understand that that's an important aspect.
What is the second degree implication of?
And so what one should do is to then let the issue get over at that point in time, then speak to your partner and try to understand, try to make them realize your point of view, and then together address the child again, right? Without one person looking nicer in front of the child.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
The other thing is, I think, as fathers, one can do is make the children look at the broader picture, build a sense of purpose in them, and that's where I found stories extremely powerful. And when you say stories, it can start from infancy, actually, because the more you communicate with your infant, the better their faculties become. They become very good at learning things, and their communication skills improve. Their emotional strength becomes more,
And their
as
resilience.
they keep listening to a parent or anybody adult. Keep on talking to them. So you need to keep talking to a child, and when the child, there is something called serve and return, which is when your child is making funny noises, you make funny noises back at them. It's a communication. So all this helps, actually. So founding a strong emotional bond is done by constantly communicating. And then you
And
tell
you-
them
and you're
stories.
saying that dads can do that, right?
That should do that. Because it's not just the mother's responsibility. Dad has to do it, actually.
Because to a lot of, as other, my pursuit is on that topic is how do you emotionally engage with your children? Because again, through the traditional lens of society or our species, is the mother's domain, right? Emotions, nurturing,
Yeah.
and when fathers engage in that conversation, it creates a whole different bond.
Yeah, so I cannot agree with you more, okay? So the most important funda to remember is that the more you hug your child, the more emotionally strong they become as they grow up. Okay, and it's a very important
Does
aspect.
the
The physical hugging is so important. Of course, the mental or emotional hugging is a different thing, but physical touch, physical hugging brings down their cortisol level, enhances their brain capacity, enhances their emotional strength, makes them calmer as they grow up in life. All these things are stress-free. All these things happen when you are hugging your children. And when the mother is not doing, the father has to do. And both have to do. The more you do that, the better emotional connect with your child as they grow up. So that's one. Number two is this, talking to them, telling them stories, and keep telling them stories even when you know that they cannot fully understand it. It's fine. Right. So I remember when my daughter was 2, she was fluently speaking, and she would tell some of the stories back to me. So her favorite was the 3 Little Piggies, and she would actually climb on my lap, open the book, and tell me the story page by page. Okay, and half it was garbled, but it is amazing actually. So
we underestimate their processing power.
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So you should always stretch them, right? Yeah. So that you tell them stories. As you grow older, you can start telling stories of people who have resilience, stories of resilience, stories of purpose, stories of compassion, stories of gratitude. Each of these qualities which I talked about, you need to build that in through stories without again giving the final gyan saying that this is
right. So what
this is
did
the
you
moral
learn?
of the story, What did you learn from it? Yeah. So doing that, and as they grow into their tweens, 8, 9, 10, that age, then you start telling them what is happening at workplace. Because there is nothing more real than the work that you are going through on a daily basis.
The ups and downs of
right?
everything
you
that's
have to
happening.
tell them those stories in a more understandable fashion for them. And they will then grow up to be able to handle any situation that happens in life. And of course, the most important thing from my point of view was role modeling. Right. So through my entire journey, I had to role model that any situation that comes, you should take it on your chin. I can tell you a couple of instances which made me realize that, wow, that really worked. So my son was very obsessed with basketball. He wanted to be an Indian basketball player, and he was good at it. Right. So he was about 9 when he wanted to get into a club, so he would keep practicing. And there was a particular cutoff day for getting into the junior club. And he still had 1 year to do that, and he was really looking forward to that. And he would actually go all the way to 1.5 hours by bus and come back and things like that when he was 10, to just go and play 1 hour of basketball. And then what happened is he started developing a small, some kind of a bulge on just below his knee. And then we went with the doctor. And the doctor said it's called S.H.A.R.P. It's a condition which happens to boys who are growing up, typically boys who are growing up very fast. And it's a bone thing. It'll become okay, but for the next 1 year, he should not play basketball. Okay? Here, there is a boy at the age of 10 who had this entire dream built up.
So he said he literally can't play for the next.
And his whole, he had planned this whole thing. By the end of 10 years, he has to get into the junior team. Then next team after that, next team after that.
He charted the whole path.
And it just went. And he sat there. We finished the clinic, came out, and he sat there and he quietly, he cried for about 5 minutes. And I brought him back home. He just bounced back. And he realized he has to do other things, and he got into other things. He completely accepted. No cribbing, no crying, no emotional outbursts. He just moved on in life. The most powerful thing I've seen.
That's an incredible story.
And something as as powerful was with my daughter. From the time she was 13, she had realized that she wanted to become a doctor. So she was doing everything to build that career path.
Sure.
And so she would read the books and stuff which are related to medicine. And she knew that she had to go and do some kind of an internship in a hospital. So she went to this far-flung location called Saragur, where there's a tribal hospital. Stayed there for 15 days.
And what age?
She was 14 at that time. She and a friend of hers, two of them went, and they 14, 15, I think.
Sure.
She had, there it was a tribal hospital. She had the opportunity to even observe surgeries and things like that. She would go into the community.
Why did she choose that far-flung location?
Because I had contacts there, and I knew that if you want to really understand the real grassroots medicine, you have to go to a tribal community level.
Good for you to have thought about that.
So they went there and stayed there, and so the morning breakfast was 2 chapatis and sambar, lunch was 2 chapatis and sambar and some rice, dinner was 2 chapatis and sambar and rice. Every day for 15 days, they were doing that, and the room was filled with lizards, and my daughter was petrified of lizards. She did all that. Then she did everything perfectly, too. And she wanted to apply to UK and do her medicine there. And she got, and it's a very difficult process because there are only 6% of the seats which are for international students. You have to get through that. You have to be top of the class.
Yeah.
She managed to get a perfect score in 10th IGCSE. Then she got a perfect score in IB, 12th. And she applied with all that. She managed to get into the interview stage. My wife was supposed to take her for the interview for Leeds University. Applied for the visa. There was one letter which I had to give saying that I approve of her mother taking her. My wife forgot to submit that. Okay, she had carried it. She forgot to submit that. Visas came back. The passports came back. My wife got a visa. Daughter's visa was rejected. And she had another 10 days to go. Okay.
Oh my God.
And the passports came, we opened it, we saw this, and we read the reason why it is not happening. And my wife realized that she had goofed up. Right?
Oh my God.
And my daughter was sitting there. And the only thing she did was to console her mother, saying, "Don't worry, it's okay. There are other universities, maybe we'll get the opportunity again. You chill." And my wife was like climbing up the roof, She was like blaming herself and
self-blame and
completely.
Yeah.
My daughter just calmed her down. And so, that's when I realized that all the things I have gone through in life, the way I have role modeled positive behavior has gone in so deep into both of them.
No, there is no more powerful stories than these moments.
Yeah,
because this is literally your life's work, crashing down in a moment, like the doctor's visit and the visa rejection.
Yeah.
But of course, now she's in the UK now, right?
She's a doctor. She's so we managed
so the story has a positive ending.
Absolutely. We actually managed to turn the visa around again, resubmitted, turned it around. We did whatever we could to actually get her a faster turnaround for the visa, and it came. She got into Leeds, then she got into Birmingham, and she completed her graduation in Birmingham. She's a doctor there now for the last 5 years. So
that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I know you have somewhere else to go, and I could keep having this conversation for the whole afternoon.
So could I, by the way.
There's so many stories to hear from you. But we'll probably end with the last couple of questions, Ranji.
Sure, yeah.
And who knows, we might just be back for another round.
When I write my next parenting book, by the way, the next book is planned. If it is not for this, I would have written it by now. But
Right.
It's I want to write 100 stories.
Got it.
Which parents can use to tell children.
Sure.
So these are all stories with morals without actually telling the morals.
Right. Exactly. But speaking of that, me and my daughter are planning to write a couple of stories.
Fantastic, yeah.
That came out of
How old is she?
She's 11.
Awesome.
So she is into arts.
Very nice.
And I've been telling her a few stories in the bedtime, right? And we've identified 2 or 3 stories that we want to turn into like a visual, like a picture storybook.
Lovely.
So I might ask your tips for
And
that.
I think there is one tip I can give you.
Yeah.
Most important. immediately buy Oops the Mighty Gurgle and make her read it.
I'll do that for sure.
I'm a salesperson.
Now, actually, to that, I wanted to just reshare your active parenting. So the name of the book is Active Parenting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Got it. Which is again from 9 to 99.
Active parenting is actually for parents of infants to parents of 18-year-olds. So 18 years of parenting.
Got it. So my second last question, Ramji, is I see, and I have two teenagers almost. One, my daughter is going to be she's
Almost
going to be
there,
12. Yeah. My son is going to be 14. I'm starting to interact with a lot of parents of teenagers, right? And as a whole, to your point of the VUCA world, the world's going, we don't have no idea where the world's going with all kinds of forces. There's a lot of anxiety in parents and children, right?
Yeah.
And we are imposing a lot of that in our children as well.
Yeah.
So in the context, in the backdrop of that, what are the two things that you you leave with the parents of teenage children who are really anxious now, to give them some sort of a tool and framework and path to look forward, when it comes to their parenting?
Yeah, and I'm going to say something controversial.
Sure.
I think people should read this book called The Anxious Generation.
Yes, I'm familiar with that book.
And there is no doubt at all in my mind that the advent of social media combined with smartphones have definitely made children a lot more anxious. Right. And the depression, anxiety, etc. are shooting through the roof. And there's a very clear inflection point.
It's a real epidemic, right?
It's a very clear inflection point to the time when this advent of smartphone and social media happened. So, of course, in reality is that you cannot completely keep them away. Yeah. But at least till the age of 5 or something, don't get them to even look at a screen. Right. Tell them stories, do activities with them, take them out for a jog or a trek or just a walk in the garden, whatever, right? So spend time on other activities. And then even till the age of 15, really avoid giving them smartphones. That's a very important aspect in my opinion. Because one of the points that book makes is that when you go into social media, the way you get information is from all age groups, all kinds of information, all bunched in together in a very focused capsule, right? Whereas when you're actually growing up before any of this, kids had a way of growing up. They will interact with people of their age, maybe 1 year older, 1 year younger. Sure. They will interact. They will have their social problems. They will know how to learn to deal with those problems. They will grow the wings, strength of the wings, and so that they can fly, right? But today that's not the case. You are getting all kinds of weird inputs and whatever age group kind of input all the time. Yeah. And that really confuses the brain when it's developing. Brain goes on developing all the way till 25, right? So you need to give them a chance. So at least till the age of 15, avoid this. I think that's one of the things I would say. Number 2 is be that strong rock of Gibraltar for them. And how do you do that? Be the person who you need to continuously tell them that I am there for you. And you need to tell them, and you need to actually say it, that irrespective of whatever happens, baby, we are there for you. Okay, you can come and tell us anything. Whatever mistakes you made also, you can tell us. We're not going to judge you. We're going to sit with you and try to solve problems with you. And that, through action and through actual communication, you need to communicate it 100% of the time.
So you have to keep reinforcing that, right?
Exactly.
Because of what? Because they feel alienated or they feel very lonely?
Because you need to be the top influence in their lives. Number 1. Number 2 is that because of the strange situations caused by the current atmosphere, they can feel down,
be very
depressed, or
isolating.
various kinds of things, Yeah. And so they need to have a very strong foundation in which they can rest their feet, right? Anchor, and that has to be the parents. And you need to constantly tell them that this is a safe haven. This place you can share anything.
This is your safe
without
place.
being judged. And that last part is the most important. Don't judge. We all make mistakes. and you don't know what life they are going through. Yeah. All you can say is that, hey, come, we'll try and solve the problem together.
Thank you so much. My last question, I think the point that you made about purposefulness, right? It's not very usual because it's a very heavy word. Sometimes, kids have a hard time even getting their head around what's purpose. Even in adults' world, this word is kind of becoming a little bit more normal than before, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you've intentionally picked purposefulness, which can lead to happiness for children, why did you pick that? And how does that help? Because kids, they're all about playing, fun, in the moment. How does purpose matter?
Yeah.
Playing that devil's advocate.
So by the way, yes, kids should do having fun and all that. Yeah. And that's why you should tell them stories which are engaging without giving that final gyan. Right. And the more stories of purpose you tell them, it'll go in. And stories are seeds. They plant seeds in the brain, which at the right time, it'll grow into huge trees, which will actually be the trees of their life. Yeah. So that's one. Number two, why purpose? When I went through the toughest times in my life, the one thing that kept me going was that I had a goal, whatever goal I had in mind. So when I was 15, it was to get into IIT. And I got into IIT at 16, right? In IIT, I actually lost my sense of purpose because half my classmates, 90% of my classmates were going abroad. Right. And I came from a slightly socialist background where I wanted to be in India. So that was not a purpose for me. So I sort of, lost the purpose, and you could see what happened.
Sure.
Then my purpose was to become as rich as possible, as early as possible. And I sort of managed that very well. I was at the age of 30, I became possibly the highest paid in my batch. I was country manager for 3Com, which is a fantastic job, etc. So I knew that the moment you put a flag there and say, I want to reach that, and go after it, then every step of the way, you will be thinking of how to get closer to your purpose. Sure. So you get a direction by putting a purpose. After my illness, that changed from getting as rich as possible, as early as possible. It became to touch 1 million lives positively. Yeah. And I actually said this sentence, I shared it in social media, I keep reinforcing it every single time. Yeah. The more I say it, it's actually for myself.
Yeah.
I am reinforcing in my mind that this is my purpose.
I say that
right? And then I keep doing that, right? Yeah. Everything I do is to touch 1 million lives positively. So I mentor people, I reach out to people, I pain the hell out of people so that I can go and help them.
You're doing this with me. You're impacting lives and you're touching people, for sure.
So that's what I do, right? So, and because of that, all these illnesses and everything that I've had, and I still trip and fall once a month. And I've had maybe 10 or 11 fractures in the last 15 years. Life is not very easy, but life is amazing.
Your disposition betrays, all the experiences that you must be encountering.
Yeah, I know. In fact, I would like to turn it around. I think that has actually built that in me. Those experiences have made me much, much better at wanting to help people who are going through difficulties. And that, wanting to do that purpose has made me a happy person. So I can handle any situation in life in a very happy, cheerful fashion. Last week, actually not last week, yesterday, one of my colleagues at RamG's Foundation, he gave me a huge compliment. And I was telling him this funda about neural mirroring and all. I said, the way you are, the other person also then becomes like that, etc. And he said, that's what you do to us, I said, what do you mean? He said, when you walk into a meeting, suddenly the mood in the meeting lifts. Right. And that's what you do.
It lifts up the room.
And I thought, wow, that's the most amazing thing. When I was going through the toughest period in my life, the one thing I told myself is that any room I walk into has to become a little more positive because I'm there in that room. And that helped me to make myself more positive.
To sail through the...
Yeah. So the fact that I'm doing it today also, I feel my purpose is achieved actually.
That's beautiful. Such a powerful note, RamG. And I'm deeply grateful for this last 1 hour. You have lifted me up for sure.
Thank you.
So your goal has definitely had one win now in this morning. But I'm so grateful that we got to do this, and I'm confident this conversation will touch and move people and move our audiences. I'm greedy to leave you with a request that hopefully we'll do it again. But more power to your mission, and if there's any way that I can support your mission, I'll be there.
Thank you so much, and I must be the one thanking you for giving me the opportunity to speak all this. Thanks a ton, and wish you all the very best. I hope so many dads actually listen to this and pick up a lot of gems from this.
Thank you so much, Ramji.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was great.